Hey, building a business is hard. It's even harder when you have no idea where you're going. When you don't have a clear vision, you're just kind of letting the business happen to you. In today's podcast, we're talking specifically about how to get clear and develop a clear vision that will get you exactly where you want to go. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode of Street Smarts on the Pain to Profits podcast. And so today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, the biggest mistake in business for newer entrepreneurs, whether you're thinking about starting a business or you're newly on the journey, is undisciplined growth.
Define undisciplined growth.
Undisciplined growth is revenue at all cost. It's growing without a clear vision. And so how do you fix that? How do you strategically, consistently, and in a disciplined manner grow? What is the distinct difference? The answer is vision. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I talk to who jump into business with the goal to start a business because they want to be their own boss or they want to make money. And then they just end up creating a glorified job for themselves. And so the answer to creating disciplined growth in your business is you got to first start with what I would call a big, hairy, scary, audacious goal, a 10-year vision. And most people say, how would I do that? That's too far into the future. I don't want to have a big company. That's what you hear all the time. A big, hairy, scary, audacious goal doesn't mean you have to go take a company public. That's not what we're talking about. It's clearly defining what do you want the future of your business to look like and how do you become a business owner? Because when you first start from the ground up, you're a worker bee. You're working inside the business itself, and you're trying to build out processes and systems and do all these other things. But truthfully, you have a business that owns you. And if you want to be a business owner, then you got to break out of that. And I see that happens most of the time because people don't know where they want to go. What is their true north? Now, once you know the true north, you can then back into what we would call a 3-year picture. That's a little bit clear. Most of us sitting here right now go, 3 years from now, I have a little bit better grasp on that distant future. And so you would say, okay, in order to be on pace for that 10-year vision, what do I have to do in the next 3 years in order to get there? And that comes down to the people on your team, the amount of revenue, the marketing that you need to create, the channels that you need to create, the different departments that you need to create. How much revenue are you going to be doing at that point in time? Once you have the 3-year picture, which is a little bit clearer, you can back into the 1-year plan. What's the 1-year plan? It's what do I need to do to be on pace in the next 12 months for my 3-year picture? The 3-year picture is attached to the 10-year vision, right? Once you have the 1-year plan, which is, hey, what do we got to do in the next year to be on pace for the 3-year picture? I can then live my life in 90-day increment. Why is 90 days valuable? Because that's how the financial cycle works, right? Everybody thinks in quarters, right? It's also the time period when, as human beings, we get shiny object syndrome or fuzziness in where we're going directionally. And so we have to reset. So we decide, hey, here's the most important things to do over the next 90 days. Put my head down, get to work, pick my head up in 90 days. What do we need to change, tweak? Are we still on pace for our goal? Do we fall short? What do we need to do in order to change that? Put my head down, go back to work, right? And then at the end of that year, you can pick your head up and say, okay, we're on pace for a 3-year goal or 3-year picture, or here's the things that we need to do to change in order to go optimize to be on pace for that. But most people are not doing it that way. They treat it a lot like how most people treat their life, where they just wake up and let life happen to them. And so you have to be very intentional in order to get the growth that you want and build the business that you want. Because if you don't, what's the risk?
The risk is you pick your head up and you realize this is not who I am and I didn't build what I wanted to.
100%. Because you get what you want. Right. You get the mind gets what the mind focuses on, right? And so if you just kind of let your business happen to you, man, it is going to be hard for you as an entrepreneur. So you got to get super disciplined, super focused. That discipline then leads to devotion because you have clarity. When you're clear about where you want to go, now it's not this like, I can't, or discipline tells you what you can't do. Devotion tells you what you should do or what you can do, right? And that's a totally different mindset. It makes business a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable. Because in order to move through the different phases, there's like 3 phases. You're a startup. You're scrapping it out. Then you move into kind of the grow up phase, and then you move into the expansion phase. That requires of you as an entrepreneur delayed gratification. It's very hard to delay gratification if you don't know what you're waiting for, what the future looks like, right? And so in that startup phase, you're spending most of your time allocating resources back into building out your team. Because you have a clear vision, you can then start to set the culture and you can plant the seed in your business, which is going to be the foundation on which the whole company thrives and the company can operate without you. And if it doesn't align with the cultural values that you've set as an entrepreneur, that business is going to suck. You're not going to enjoy it at all. As you get through that phase, you now have more people on your team. You can now start to reinvest. You get the first freedom of entrepreneurship, which is freedom of time. Then you can move into the next phase, which is freedom of money. Now you're starting to pay yourself a little bit more, but you're also then taking that additional capital and you're pouring it back into the business in order to scale. Because most business owners will get stuck in that phase right there. They go from startup to grow up. They're like the lead actor in their own play with a really strong supporting cast. And then from there, they just go, wow, this is good enough, right? I'm happy. I'm content. They're not refraining from delayed gratification and reinvesting that capital into growing out the most important aspects of the business, like building a marketing team, building out a sales team, and freeing themselves up so that they can actually be a business owner, right? The business can run without them. And if you cannot walk away from your business without it falling apart, you don't have a business. Now, the hardest part is going from a grow up to an expansive type of company because cash is going to be your limiting factor. And so it's going to feel long and hard because you scale scale horizontally, meaning you hire more and more and more and more people. And then eventually all those systems start working. You can pour back and you can start to increase your income vertically. Getting over that hump is the key to building a bigger business. And most quote unquote small business owners get stuck right there. And they're stuck because they lose sight of the vision. They're not clear about where they're going and what they need to do in order to actually move to the next level.
So for our entrepreneurs out there who are a startup, who want to get to growth, disciplined growth looks like the investing into culture, vision, and leadership, and then the accumulation of people who embody the values of that culture doing the work together.
100%.
Then to begin to go from growth to expansion, now we are just actually exponentially expanding my delayed gratification as the business owner, investing in systems, more people, more processes that are going to increase the opportunities we have.
Right. And allow you to scale.
Yeah.
So you can actually keep growing. You can keep adding more bodies. You can keep chasing more revenue and not be more profitable and actually just build a riskier business. And you won't see that as a problem maybe because you're making more money, quote unquote, but it will become a problem the day you decide to go sell your business, right? There's really like 5 ways you can exit your business. Number 1, you can just become a pure business owner. You have this self-managing company. You can just cash flow it in perpetuity. Put in a CEO or a president and let somebody else operate it. Number 2, you can go sell the thing. Number 3, you can license your systems or your products. You can franchise it, or maybe you can go buy other companies. And so if you don't have a vision and you're just kind of fumbling through until it smacks you in the face, 99.9% of the time, you're never going to get there. People who've been in business for 40 years, they'll tell you they spent the first 15 or 20 years just kind of fumbling through it. And then one day they got super clear and super focused. And that's how they grew their company. But it wasn't like the reason it took them 20 years to get to that point is they were unfocused and undisciplined. Just kind of like doing jobs and making money and things were going up and they just kind of let the cards fall where they may.
Okay, so walk us through. So we have the 3 phases: startup, growth, expansion.
Yep.
You've personally walked this path. So share with our listeners that journey for Pursuit.
Yeah. So, one of the businesses that I own is a training and performance gym. It's a private training facility. And when we set out on that business 6.5 years ago, the vision, the big, hairy, audacious goal was to be the number 1 performance and training facility in Colorado, right? And so that would look like we'd have sports performance, like almost what would feel like collegiate level strength and conditioning. We would have a full gym. We would have elite personal training. We'd have dietetics, physical therapist. We would have, in-body testing, hormone testing, all the things that people actually need in order to get real transformation. We would have group fitness, which was a big part of it. So we had that big, hairy, audacious goal. And when we first jumped into business, like we were just like, okay, we had a vision, a quote unquote business plan. That's what most people tell you. Business plan and a vision are 2 totally different things. But we tried to execute on the business plan and we way overestimated what we were going to be able to do. So we finally sat down and we said, what do we got to do in the next 3 years to be on pace for this big, hairy, scary, 10-year goal? And we laid it out. We need this many trainers. We need to be doing this much revenue. We need to have this much, our trainers need to be making this much money, right? We need to be spending this much on marketing. We need to be known for X, Y, and Z things. That then set us on a path of, okay, great. Now that we know that, what do we got to do in the next 12 months in order to do that? We got to build out our team. We got to create some new positions, right? We had to put in an ops person. We had to give some more money away from the profits to make sure that the great people we had, the A players, were happy, satisfied, and growing. We had to continue to reinvest back into marketing. We had to bring on a director of sales. And fast forward to today, that business is now executing on the 3-year plan, which was to be in a 25,000 plus square foot facility. We're under contract on 35,000 square feet. We have the team, the revenue, and just for color, guys, Gold's Gyms, they're probably one of the most well-known franchises out there. They have 3 million members, 740 locations. Every location has 4,000 members on average. They only do 1.6 million in a location. That's 25,000 square feet. We knew that model wouldn't work for us because we didn't have the income or the cash to do that, to make the investment day one. But we had a vision. And so because we had our vision, we knew that we could focus on demographics. Being great marketers, we could focus on demographics. So we planted the gym in the middle of the epicenter where the median household income was 132,000, which is twice the median average. We're surrounded by 15,000 homes. We're surrounded by 7 different sports training skills facilities, right? Which is a big part of who we serve, the client avatar, the ESPN family. Mom and dad were athletes. Kids are pursuing athletic careers. Guys like you, guys like me who want to be around people who are serious about their training. And all of those people spend the most money on their kids and their health. And so we planted and built the business in that area. And we have been looking for 6 years of, hey, where's this next location going to be? And it's got to be in this epicenter where we already are at, where we've established our base. And so now we will move in there, and we know that within the next 3 years, we'll be able to execute on the 10-year vision, which was to be, premier training facility in Colorado. And we'll be able to take our revenue from what it'll be about 1.2 this year to about 3 million, because we'll have the space to do it. Gold's Gyms generally have 25,000 square foot facilities. We have 7,500 square feet facility, and we're doing nearly as much revenue on like a fourth of the amount of members that a Gold's Gym has. And none of that would have happened
without a vision,
without a clear vision. So the name of the game for disciplined growth is you got to have a clear vision for where you're going. Forget the stupid business plan. Forget all that stuff. If you don't know who you are, who you serve, where you're going, nobody's going to get on board with that vision. Nobody's going to stay. And you might not like where you end up. And that's a wrap. That's all I got for a day.
Nothing else to add on my end.
All right. Till next time. Peace out.